Do you want to learn how to create those amazing leads that make you go wow, 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 wow? Today we're taking a deep dive into how to create singing solos. Let's go. Well, hello there, Vlad here. Welcome to my studio. Before we move to soaring leads or whatever the title of the video was, I just quickly want to mention that if you want to get into home recording or up your home studio game, check out my free home studio essentials mini course. And in that course, I show you how to build a killer home studio on a tiny budget and help you avoid all the mistakes I've made over the past 15 years or so. I've been recording my own music in my home studio. Links below in the description, but now to I use the soaring one, which is like eagle high lead lines, something like that. Very good joke. Moving on. So what do I actually mean by singing solos or vocal-like solos? To me, it's taking a bunch of different elements from vocalists and starting to apply those things on our lead playing. And it doesn't mean that every single solo we play has to be singable, but using a lot of those elements that vocalists do in their performance and applying that to our lead playing can make our lead lines way more interesting. Well, I don't think we need to focus on gear that much. There are some basic principles that apply to those kind of singing lead sounds, no matter what kind of genre you're playing. So let's dive into those now. First of all, vocals are a mid-range instrument, which means to dial in a vocal-like lead guitar tone, we need some mid-range in our sound. I am dialing in the lead tone from the song you heard in the beginning. So first of all, I'm engaging my Rev G3. And as you can see on the screen, there's quite a lot of mid-range going on. The second thing you need is sustain, and this is important because sustain not only means that you're compressing the sound and kind of limiting the dynamic range a bit, and that makes it easier to play. It also gives you more expressive control, so you can, for example, play a note, hold on to it, and then slide to another one without using your picking hand, and that way you have two different types to go from a note to note. You can pick and then go, or you can do, which are two different ways of expressing yourself on the guitar. Sustain allows you to do that. To achieve that sustain, you can, for example, go for a compressor pedal, as you can see here on the board. But for the tone I actually want to have a bit more gain. So to achieve that tone, I'm actually going for the Scaline Pure Sky Overdrive pedal. Depending on your music style, you can go for various amount of reverb and delay as well. And if you think about vocals, they're pretty much never completely dry in the mix. And I would say same applies to lead guitar as well. In my case, I'm going for a pretty epic sound actually, so I'm going for quite a lot of reverb and delay. And I'm using the KMA Audio Machine Series to do just that. Alright, we have a lead tone, but how do we actually start creating vocal-like lead lines on our guitar? The first step is very obvious: play the right notes. And what I mean by that is stay within the key of the song. That's always a great place to start from, and also keep it simple, because a typical vocal melody line is roughly within octave, octave and a half, meaning like you don't start here and go all the way up here like 3 or 4 octaves, because very few singers can do that at all, and it doesn't really sound that good. So stay within like a fairly small range of notes. And actually the lead line from the song in the beginning is a fairly good example of that. Notice how we're staying in this little box over here, and like don't go too much up or down. That's a very typical thing for a vocal lead melody to do as well, so that's a good starting point as well. Keep it fairly kind of narrow, if you will. If you are fairly new to creating lead lines like this, I would probably start by like playing very narrowly on like small box of pentatonic or something scale and move on from there. But in the long run, I think it's also completely fine to add the kind of guitar things here. Like for example, this lead line I have here, it actually goes up to there, so we start. That's more of a guitar range of thing going on more than a vocal line. Maybe some vocalists could pull that off, but on average, that's quite a lot of kind of vocal range to cover. The next thing to do is to start adding vocal-like rhythm and expression. And I'm laughing already, because a great way to do that is to come up with some fake lyrics to your lead lines and see if you could actually sing those. And you don't have to be a great singer to do that, just to try them out. Here's my example, for example. I had soup today, it was quite okay. Something like that. Yeah, I had soup today, it was quite okay. That's the lyric I came up with. But I think it proves the point. Like, you can try those fake lyrics and see whether your lead line is actually singable. You don't have to sing in pitch or anything like that. Just to try it out, because it will immediately reveal whether somebody could actually sing that line, and that's kind of what we're going for. So yeah, come up with fake lyrics for your lead lines to try them out. Practicing like this will help you to create more kind of lyrical, if you will, lead lines, and after you've been doing it for a while, you'll start subconsciously making such decisions, and you don't necessarily need to come up with your fake lyrics anymore. You can obviously do that if you want to, it's fun, but yeah, it will become a second nature to you and you won't even think about it. Other expression things you can start adding is, for example, sliding to the note instead of just playing, because that's a very typical, for example, what heavy metal vocalists would do. They wouldn't go like, hey! They would go, so, hey! type of thing. They would start low and then go to it, because it kind of adds the emphasis on that high note, for example. You can slide there, or you can obviously bend there as well. Either of the things works. Sliding is maybe a bit more dramatic, especially if you start singing. But bending works really well as well. And what's also really important on the vocals is the vibrato. You don't just go to the note and sit there on the guitar either. You go. And same goes for the vocals, where you go ha. And depending on the music style, some people can hold. You can, for example, hold the note for a little while. Or if I use the tremolo, it's really effective to go to the note, wait just a little bit, and then start adding the vibrato, something that a lot of vocalists do as well. A great way to practice all of this is something that might be very obvious, but I'm going to mention it again. Anyway, listen to vocalists and try to mimic their vocal lines as closely as you can with your pick hand, with the way they attack the notes. Do they slide to the note? Do they go to the note right away? Do they go for the vibrato right away? Is the vibrato fast, or is it slow, or anything like that? Just copy all of those things onto your guitar as closely as you can, and that is a great way to build your toolkit for vocal-like lead playing. And that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you got any questions, leave a comment down below. And a great way to support this channel and keep this thing rolling is to either get my songwriting course or use the affiliate links below in the description. And obviously there's the free Home Studio Essentials course as well. Check it out. If you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button, leave me a like, stuff like that. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.